Huh? Look, I'm in my gitch. It's not coffee, but I got iced coffee because it's a little later in the afternoon, huh?
Yeah, no. This is your show, not mine.
Yeah, but isn't this what we do, though?
No, you can put a sweatshirt on or something. It's actually a bit chilly.
All right.
Thank you.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 10 of the Big Ben and Friends podcast. I am your host, Big Ben Ortmanns, and this week we are going to introduce and we're going to be interviewing one of my friends from the pro wrestling business, I think. This man truly needs no introduction. As a matter of fact, I'm almost positive that if you're watching this video or you're listening to this on Spotify or wherever the hell you get your podcast from, I'm actually the one who probably needs the introduction here because let's face it, you're all here for this guy right here. He is a professional wrestler. He's an actor, a director, a writer, an entertainer, a comedian, a YouTuber, a drinker of coffee in his underwear, a leader and alpha of Arquette City and a carrier of David Arquette's career, a Ronda Rousey Facebook wrestling tournament champion, a daily recipient of happy birthday wishes from Danhausen, and he is a goddamn national fucking treasure, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody welcome my buddy RJC.
You're missing one.
What did I miss?
Bon vivant.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I like to let people know that I'm naturally joyous. And that
was on the tip of my tongue, too, and I think I just got nervous and forgot. I'm very sorry.
Yeah. That way, if I'm mean to someone, they know it's their fault. Because they go, wow, he's normally a bon vivant. Why is he so rude to me now?
So how many – does Randy Orton classify as a bon savant?
Okay, but it's not savant. It's bon vivant.
That's what I said.
It means like they have a certain, here's another French term, joie de vivre about them. A joy of life. And you know me, I'm always saying, gee, what a great day I'm having.
Yes.
And let's if we may cross streams a little, what kind of coffee are you drinking out of curiosity?
So the cup is a bit of a distraction because I wanted to make it look like I was drinking a coffee from a shop. But what I actually did was I got some Starbucks iced coffee and mixed just a little bit of maple flavoring in there.
Like specifically maple coffee flavoring?
Yeah, it's like one of those coffee creamer deals. It's supposed to be a seasonal thing because, maple, and we're Canadian.
But here we are in the middle of July, and you're bucking tradition.
Just absolutely. And
it's truly an autumnal accoutrement.
Yes, because
you've eschewed fall completely.
I was quite positive that maple was a fall thing.
Right.
But you know what, dude? 2020 is so unpredictable that here we are in July.
Yeah.
And it's seasonal now.
Yeah.
2020 is the craziest. I don't even know what else to predict.
You see one pumpkin and you can have all the maple you want.
Halloween could be in December for this year. I don't even know.
It's great. I think we should do it. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to end up overlapping the major seasonal ones. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to end up, I think, without Valentine's Day. My theory is 25 years from now, no one will talk about. We'll talk about Valentine's Day the way we talked about Arbor Day. Nobody talks about Arbor Day anymore.
Do we need Valentine's Day, really?
Absolutely not, because we're spending so much money on Halloween and Christmas now.
And that's real romance, in my opinion.
I'll say, with the Lord.
100%. I mean, nothing says love like getting your significant other a slutty, whatever they want to choose to be in their life costume, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, or you can just hand out candy to kids.
There's that too.
You can do that too.
Dude, we're so on the same page here. It's fantastic.
Yes.
What do you have in your cup today, sir?
What do I have? Well, I'm way past coffee now because I think it's much too late. I'm drinking. See, this is not a brand plug. I have Fiji, and everyone goes, "Oh, that's pompous." But during the pandemic, it's very, very much on sale. So it was incredibly cheap for me, and that's really the only reason I bought it. And then I had it on my show, and someone yelled at me and went in. They said, "Oh, they're not a good company."
Why are
And I
they
said,
not a
"Oh,
good company?
I don't know. But there's, corporations and whatever. I'm not defending or denying any of it. I just went, this was very cheap. This was on sale.
And it's a very delicious water.
It's water. Yeah. I mean, I don't go, water,
Well, it's quality water for a quality human is what I'd like to say.
I guess so. And I'm in many ways also on sale.
And you know what? Who can pass up a sale?
Who can pass up a sale? And that's the reason I bought it. And there's some food that I only want because it's free. If it's not free, if I had to pay anything for it, like those Lifesaver mints, I only want them in a bowl when I walk into the dentist.
That's fair. Yeah,
I'm not spending a
those
dime on them. No.
That's fair. So I'm going to start this podcast off here, Mr. RJ, by asking the same question that I ask everybody else, and it's one that I kind of threw you a little bone there earlier today.
Yeah.
And I always ask, do you remember how and why we became friends in the first place?
Okay, well, I'm going to counter with this, and I don't mean it. I don't mean to be ostentatious. At what point do you feel that we crossed the line into like friendship? Like, what is, instead of people who wrestle, who know each other, who like each other?
Yeah.
At what point do you go, how do you define that?
Ooh,
would you say we are friends? And I'm not saying that in a derogatory way.
Right.
I mean, more so than people who you wrestle with who you like.
Right. No, I completely understand that. See, for me, I'd like to think that we kind of became friendly, and that we looked out for one another for sure. I think that probably the first time that we wrestled.
Yes.
Which may have been the only time we've wrestled, I think.
I think it was. No. Okay, so let's talk about the first time we wrestled, and then I'll tell you about the second time we wrestled.
Excellent, okay.
So the first time we wrestled it feels like 48 years ago.
It really does.
And it was part of a tournament, I believe.
You know what? It might have been. You know what? I think it was actually.
And it was in a warehouse in Hamilton, like most shows in Hamilton often are.
Yes.
And I was traveling with two people who, like to take their sweet ass time because they were much later on the card.
Right.
Than I was. And I believe we were the opening match, I want to say.
We were early.
Yes. Having said that, whether I'm the first match or the main event, I would still like to get there at least 2 hours before the show. That's just me. I take a while to get ready. I don't like rushing ever. Mm-hmm. And yet, don't you do that thing when you get to a show for whatever reason 4 hours early, and then the next thing you know, it's 10 minutes before your match and you're rushing to get shit on?
Yeah.
It's just horrible time management. I hate it about myself. But anyway, I got there incredibly late. And perhaps 20 minutes before our match?
You're probably right about that. Yeah, I remember
fans were in the building.
I remember we were calling the match as you're getting dressed, and we're like, we gotta go. And I think that we were even like waiting for you to finish tying your boots so that way we can get going.
I have the one picture I've seen from it. I have no wrist tape and I have no elbow pads, which is just so rare for me because I literally did not have time to put them on. Rarely will you see that from me. And also, neurotically, I did want to do well. I was very new to the scene. Mm-hmm. So I did watch a lot of your matches and I guess similar matches to people of your style. And they did have spots in my head of stuff I wanted to do. So in that sense, my neurosis paid off.
Yeah.
Because I would say, well, what about this? Well, what about this? And it was kind of a boom, boom, boom. And, we didn't go very long. I don't think we burned any barns.
No, we definitely didn't do that. The thing I remember about it the most was the guy that was booking it. He was putting this match together and he was like pumping my brakes and he was getting me all set up. He's just like, hey man, I know that this young kid that you're working is green as grass and blah, 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 blah. So just go carry him through a match. And then I was just like, okay. And then we talked. And the funny thing is, because I had known you for a while at that point because you had done previous stuff that I don't even know if you discuss anymore. I feel like it was from a whole other life, that the tag team stuff.
Oh, I thought you were talking about my educational film series, but go ahead.
Well, we could discuss that later. I would love to discuss that. But yeah, like we'd obviously known each other, but when we were putting the match together and then we actually went out and did it, I just remember that I was super blown away because I didn't know that you were that good. And sorry to burst anybody's bubble that watches this and they're like, wait a sec, RJ's a good wrestler. He's actually very, very good and has been for quite a while. But when I got to the back, the guy that was booking it, who wanted me to carry you through a match, comes up to me and he's just like, wow, you carried him through a really good match. And I just remember laughing at him, and I was just like, dude, that was literally all him. Like, he was driving and I was just like, where are we going? And that's what we did. And like, and he's like, why did you let him call it? He's the young guy. And I'm like, his idea was better than mine.
As opposed to him, and at no point did he come up to me and say, hey, great job.
Nothing?
Thanks for putting that together. No.
Son of a bitch.
No. It's also one of those things when you are new to someone, you're kind of stuck there.
Yeah.
For a while. And that's fine. That's whatever. But certainly people that I met in this business when I was very young, I will always be a child to them, That's just the way it works. I will say I do distinctly remember the referee, Dave Linton, was patting me down, and he said to me, don't fuck this up, kid. I remember saying, all right, thanks. That was not what I needed in the moment. I needed perhaps a relax, have fun, enjoy yourself. And that's not what I got.
Was I at least okay to work with?
Oh,
I don't
great.
even remember.
I mean, from what I remember, I don't remember anything horrendous about it at all.
Okay.
No, I think it was fun. It was a typical weird. I mean, that building was just weird.
Yeah.
I also wrestled in that building during the winter, and there was no heat,
freezing,
and you could see your breath.
Yeah, that was a wild time.
And I remembered I wrestled. You remember Rico Montana?
Of course I do.
We did a spot where I think I spit my gum at him and he slapped me. And I just remember it being so cold that his slap made me feel like the whole left side of my face was paralyzed. And I just it's such a strange feeling. And I just remember thinking to myself in that moment, this is what the Phantom of the Opera must feel like. Just having this one's weight on his face.
That's hilarious. So I think that personally, that's where I thought that we became friends, just because,
yes.
Or friendly, at least anyway.
I mean, we haven't gone out for lunch or played golf together.
Right. Which would love to go golfing, but do you golf?
I have golfed. I don't think I do golf.
Well, that's fair. You're also one of those guys that I just know is unbelievably busy and kind of have this life that's you're busy.
My fingers are in a lot of pies.
Yes. You're constantly on the go. Like a lot of the times, I don't even know if it's because most times with most buddies, you're just like, hey, I wonder if my pal is working. Maybe I'll give him a shout and see if he's free. But with you, it's like, is he in the country? Like, what is?
And I do enjoy that. I do spend a lot of times in the States, being a dual citizen. Obviously, not right now. This has been quite an extended stretch. This has been the first time I've been in this country for this long in a very long time.
Really?
Yes. But, now, before I forget, let us talk about our second match together that you don't remember.
Please do.
It was me, you, and we teamed with two other people, I believe. Did we team or were we? It was me. I'm going to name people in the match now. Pinky Sanchez was in the match. Dasher Hatfield was in the match. Yes. Brent Banks was in the match.
We were against one another.
Okay. And you guys were all sports stars. That was the theme of your team, was that you were all involved in different sports. So I think it was it 3-on-3 or 4-on-4? I don't know, but it was 4-on-4. Brent Banks, Dasher Hatfield, and then Del Bruno perhaps plays soccer. Maybe that makes sense. Was there a hockey guy? Did they book the Goon?
I honestly, I can't remember. I know it was you, Pinky, because I remember that me and Pinky were supposed to have like a quick 90-second kind of thing after like we did like this group fight. And I specifically actually, that just triggered something there.
Isn't this fascinating? And it's just been sitting in your brain.
So we were doing something together in Conflict.
Okay.
where I was like your bodyguard.
Yes.
And we did that. Remember we did that like evolution thing where we got in a limousine and they filmed us getting out?
Yes, but there was some joke where we all came out. I was complaining about it, and then Mike was with us, Psycho Mike.
Yes.
And he did a thing where he got out of the limo, he went off camera and snuck around and came out again.
Yeah. Yeah. I just remember we were doing that and I was just having so much fun doing that. And it was Tid's idea. And that was kind of like his baby, that I just remember like kind of pulling you aside beforehand. I was like, I don't know what this crowd's like if they watch all the other stuff, but like, just let's not touch. Like, I would rather let's not do that. And
That's
I remember
probably why in my head now, why I thought we were teaming, because we obviously did not touch.
Yeah, because that was like our strategy. It was like we all got into like this big group fight to start the show off or whatever, start the match off, and then we had kind of pre-planned that. We're just like, let's not touch one another just in case.
And that happens very often in Ontario because a lot of promotions run within a very small distance from each other.
Yeah.
Within a couple hours in either direction, there's like 15, 20 places.
100%.
And they seem to either not be cognizant of what the other promotions are doing, or on purpose they book against the grain because they think they have a better idea of what should be wherever. And it'll be a thing where it's like, they'll say, hey, I want to book you as a face. It's like, well, I am heel everywhere else that's within an hour of here. And they'll say, yeah, that's why it's different. And I'm like, it's different because it doesn't work. Like, a lot of things are different.
Right.
Might not be the best idea.
I agree. It's like if Simon Cowell, for example, like if he's going to go do a talk show, right? Like he doesn't all of a sudden just become a babyface because he goes and does like this talk show as opposed to this talk show. Like he stays heel and stays constant the whole time because that's right. What he is, right?
Yes. Also, I want to say, now that you sprung Conflict on me and it triggered this in my head, Conflict was run by a promoter who was also made a living, relatively speaking, as an Elvis impersonator. Right?
Yes, he did.
You remember this? And because of that, when you're an Elvis impersonator, you congregate and socialize and support other Elvis impersonators. So often at these shows, there would be more than one guy who looked kind of like Elvis.
It's a community.
You would just see them in the back. You just knew the hair. You knew nobody's hair was that black. You know what I mean? And you're like, this guy thinks he's Elvis. And they all look different shapes and sizes, different eras of Elvis.
Yeah.
Anyway, after one of those shows, I was solicited by an older gentleman who was an Elvis impersonator about possibly becoming one myself. He thought I must have sung during my promo. He thought I had a good voice, and he thought I have what it takes to be the younger Elvis, which is obviously where the money is and where the popularity is.
Little did he know that you're much more of a Sinatra man.
Right. But he said, I think I'd be happy to, if you're interested, help you out. I think you have a real shot at this, the Asian stuff, and the time is now, like that kind of thing.
So because looking back on that,
yes,
do you feel like you dropped the ball not listening to him?
Yes. Look at me now.
Because you really, like, you could have really gone in a direction, but here you are, and here I am beating the hell out of my microphone.
So excited about Elvis.
Yeah, I'm literally beating my microphone up.
You mentioned the King, and the funny thing about all this Elvis stuff is that, I can't remember what age he died at, but when you're past that age, you're pretty much done. A 60-year-old Elvis doesn't exist.
No. It certainly never did in history, nor should they attempt to at that point. But you know what? At that age, if that's how they want to live their life, and for example, we've got a man here in town who every city has one. They've got like your mascots.
A town crier?
There's a town Elvis.
Oh, yeah.
You just randomly see him once every few months, but sure as shit, like I actually just saw him not too long ago, and he was walking towards like a Latino market. And not only did he have the jumpsuit on, but as I'm driving and I'm like, all right, there's Elvis, and got the hair slicked back, and it's so hot that like the dye of his hair is actually like starting to drip down his neck, the poor guy. But as I look back, son of a bitch had the cape attachment too. Like, so
no joke.
He went gangbusters on this thing. Like, I kind of admired it. Like, I mean, personally, not my.
Well, and the other great thing about being an Elvis impersonator is that if you want to do it right, the outfits are incredibly expensive, right?
Yes.
And the real contest is like, how close can you get to the actual stuff? Shoes, belt buckles, socks, necklaces, like the whole deal. And this stuff is so expensive that often you will see, as with it was the case with this promoter, you will see him incorporate some Elvis articles of clothing into his regular attire.
Yeah.
There'll be a shirt with jeans, and then he'll have like snakeskin shoes on. He'll be like, what is this? I don't think this is your layman's wear.
God bless his wife for
tolerating
all of that, by the way. Because I don't know if she liked, I know she hated me, but I don't think that she liked anybody that was a wrestler.
Yeah.
So that always made shows fun too.
Well, I always think like, you know, you would say, and I'm always baffled, and now you've done it. I don't understand the impetus to want to run a wrestling show or a promotion just because there is so much bullshit to deal with. You know, sometimes I have the ability to show up, wrestle, leave, and it's amazing.
Yep.
I love it. So to be in charge of all the bullshit it's just, I mean, I admire it. I just cannot relate. So I always think about him saying, let's, you know, run a wrestling show. And I was like, that's a weird thought. I was like, no, that's a normal thought compared to let's impersonate Elvis for a living. And he also did, you know what? I'm going to plug him. His name is Jeffrey Marsh. I'm plugging him. You can look at him. This is not derogatory. These are facts. He also did a Blues Brothers act.
Yes, he did. I think that's what he does now.
Yes, which is obviously a lot cheaper than Elvis. They have one suit because Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi were not good singers. They were really just sweaty men.
And you know what? When you just get to be a sweaty man and not have to put that much money into your gear, or have to sing like Elvis, that certainly takes a lot of the pressure off. I would think.
No makeup. You're basically hidden in those glasses and the hat.
Right.
You kind of need to play the harmonica, but not very well. Neither John Belushi or Dan Aykroyd or Jim Belushi or John Goodman, for that matter, or professional musicians. Obviously, they can just get anyone to fill in.
Oh, well, that's a good point. I can honestly say that I did not see this going this way, this conversation.
Sorry. It just, you said that conflict place, and it just, this whole world opened up in my head. I really
enjoyed that trip down memory lane, actually.
Yes.
But the funny thing is kind of to tie this back to the original question is like, I think we became friendly in Hamilton where like we kind of just had respect for one another just because I think it was pretty clear that like we helped each other out. Like I looked good in front of the booker because he thought that I did all the work, where really you did all the work and you looked good in front of the booker.
Which is good for me though. I wasn't a glory, I was there to just be a heel, put over the babyface strong, and put together a quick match, and I did it. And especially at that point in my career, you just want to be able to do what they want you to do.
Because if I even remember correctly, that was kind of like you were very early on into breaking away from your old tag stuff at that point, and you were kind of just finding yourself in the ring. Like the funny thing is and I was actually just talking to Tid about this today. It's just like I told him, because he's like, do you have anything really prepared for the interview for this? Because he was one of like two people that I told that I was doing this.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know, just because my biggest thing with this was like, for guys who are really known for like their character stuff, it was just like, and for what I do with the podcast, where it's more of like a get to know your buddies a little bit more kind of a deal. Like would those streams cross, and would it be too weird? And then I asked him that, and he's just like, well, don't forget that RJ is literally RJ. Like, that's just who the fuck he is. And then when it sat and I sat and thought about it, like, yeah, like I've never remembered you being any different. It just felt like maybe it took a minute for you to find your footing in wrestling, which it does for everybody.
Yes, and I was happy to just experience wrestling, period. Just like it was almost like, you know, your first girlfriend, if you're in high school or something, you like just the performance of having a girlfriend.
Yeah.
You know, we can do this. Oh, look at this. We can hold hands. You probably, and they probably, you just don't maybe genuinely like each other as people, which is fine. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's, you just want to exercise the ability to have a girlfriend, you know? And I think a lot of wrestlers, when they start, want the ability to just exercise there. I'm doing this. I'm a wrestler. My gimmick, as you knew, the tag stuff was not me. And what happened was, backstage, I was singing Sinatra. I was doing a joke or whatever. And then someone said, you should really go grab the mic and sing your name. And I did that, and it got heat. And I went, oh, so I can take all my non-wrestling stuff and just dump it onto wrestling and like, let's see what happens. And that's really what I've been doing now for most of my life.
So was that like your moment where you kind of, that was like your breakthrough moment, was like as soon as you got heat on that first song? Because I remember I was actually trying to remember how that change started. And then as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, you just started singing in promos and then became the singer. Like I remember like you interrupted everything just by singing at some point in time, now that I remember. So, and it was just, who gave you that idea? Let's put them over.
Oh, well, Donnie Abreu gave me that idea.
Props to Donnie. And you know what? If I'm for anybody listening, go check out the Godfathers of podcasting, because those guys started the O Show guys started back up again with Donnie, Danny O, and Notorious TID.
Better than that, I have tracked them down to when I was a kid. I went to a Blue Jay game, and I distinctly remember both Dan and Donnie being there, yelling out wrestling-related chants.
Really?
Yeah, and me being in love. You know, when you're young and someone likes wrestling, you're like, well, this is the best.
Yep. You spot a wrestling shirt anywhere, you just became best friends with that guy.
Now I run away from them. Now I say, oh, God, a Bob Holly shirt? Please leave me alone.
I would kind of respect the Bob Holly shirt, actually.
Do you remember, like, in Walmart, they would have, like, those main shirts, like the Austin or the Rock, and then they would have, like, a Bob Holly? And you'd be like, I've never seen this anywhere else.
Yep. I used to get those shirts all the time. Like, I remember going to an autograph signing at a Walmart with Shawn Michaels and Sunny, and I bought a Sunny shirt that's literally just a picture of her, and it just says Sunny on it.
It's fascinating.
Unfortunately, I don't have that anymore.
No.
But, yes, that was very fascinating. Thank you.
But no, it was Donnie's idea. It was incredibly sweet of him. And then at some point doing all that, I think you go through enough frustration and you kind of start forming opinions of what you like and what you don't like for yourself. And then I started to realize, as you can attest to, some of the best promos are the ones you cut in the car on the way home from the show.
Yes.
And I thought, well, those are the good ones. Those are my real grievances. Why can't they become a part of my act and essentially dissolve my act? And Nug said this about me, is that the great thing about me is that everyone thinks it's an act.
I can definitely sense that. But then I think that people now are starting to understand more that there's no way that this is an act, just because like just the last 24 hours. And for anybody who's wondering, because I'm not sure when I'm dropping this yet, but it's currently Tuesday night. And what have you been up to today?
Tweeting.
Anything going on?
Yes, but also like no, which is kind of the story of my life.
That is, though. That's the fucking crazy part. So today's the day, everybody, for you guys just kind of wondering back. Like, RJ's been actually making legitimate headlines for being
wrestling sources. I mean, it's not like I'm in, the Washington Post.
You don't know that yet. You don't know that yet. But yes, this is Randy Orton Twitter Day. This is where because I remember I woke up this morning and the first thing as soon as I kind of was getting my day going, I just scrolled through my Twitter feed and the first thing I saw was Randy's tweet to you. And I'm like, when the hell was this? And it was like 30 minutes ago. And I'm like, oh, I got something to look forward to today. I'm like, because this will be fun. And part of me was wondering, I'm like, that's a big one. Like, I mean, because I've seen you go at a lot of people and like take them down with no, like, not even the slightest problem.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, let's see what RJ's kind of made of today. Like, not like I was, I was just wondering.
Yeah.
And you, like, if this was a rap battle, you like murdered him.
Well, I think he did. I think he did very well for someone who I assume has very big thumbs.
Well, okay. As of the last time that I checked, you're technically the winner of the last word.
So far.
So far, as of 6:37 p.m. on Tuesday.
Yeah, I did air my grievances with Steve Austin last night, who tweeted me, and then I complained that I gave him a pin and a cherry pie, and he didn't give me a hat like he promised on his show.
I saw that, and did he respond to that?
Not yet. He goes in and out, and so does, David Arquette will be in and out. Will be like in every 3 weeks. He'll be like, oh, yeah, I forgot I have Twitter. What really bothers me, and it really sticks in my craw, as they say, as with all the success on Twitter that I've had, I've yet to hear one word in response from Vicki Lawrence.
Because I clearly know who you're talking about, but for anybody who doesn't, who's that?
Well, she was on the Carol Burnett show. She was, of course, Mama in the wonderful sitcom Mama's Family. And she also sang The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia, which her husband wrote for Cher. And then Cher was like, you know what? I have too many story songs. Like, I sing these all the time. I'm good. And then Vicky's like, well, to hell with Cher. Let me record it. #1 hit.
That I didn't know. See,
Yeah.
Look at me. I'm learning. And now all of you can too.
I mean, I would say, my Twitter experiences are constantly unusual, especially being blocked by Trump, which was, I think, the biggest.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. I was in that first wave.
Yeah.
And my quote, the New York Magazine interviewed me, and my quote appears in between Rosie O'Donnell and Stephen King.
What?
Yeah, which is my favorite. I have a copy. I saved it. It's just so cool. It was good company, I guess.
Not bad.
Not bad. And then my other one was when I was feuding with David, and then Patricia Arquette spoke up.
What was the quote that got you blocked by Trump?
He was railing. Well, I figured out, because I'm verified, when I reply to his stuff, it stays at the top. So, people, it's just a fun way to, ruin his day. And this was, I think, very early on in him becoming president. So it was a couple of years ago. And he was railing on MSNBC and CNN and blah, 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 blah. And I replied, well, what about WKRP in Cincinnati? Quite an innocuous response, quite absurd and silly and whatever. But I think because of that, it's perhaps all the more dangerous to someone who's incredibly insecure.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day, someone had quoted a tweet that he said, and I couldn't see it. And I clicked on it, and it's like, you're blocked. And I'm like, I kept refreshing the page, going, this doesn't make any sense. And, you think, does this mean I'm going to be arrested? He's the president. I don't know. And the next thing I know,
it's very odd to be blocked by the president of the United States.
Incredibly alarming. Because, in many ways, he's not a real person to me, in the sense that he's not acknowledging me.
He's
nor
a
should
character.
Yes, especially, the role of president, yes, but then him specifically is just like, it's so removed from reality for me. And then I have a friend who also got blocked, and his name's Mike Dennison, and he does this wonderful B. Arthur art, and that's how we became friends. And he drew my knee Arthur knee pad. And he said, oh my God, did you get blocked too? Let me add you to this group. And he added me to this group message on Twitter. And it's all of these. So he blocked, like, honestly, hundreds of people at once. And they were all either writers or journalists or comedians, which is, fascinating. To tell you how dangerous the jester can be to the king is, comedians were high atop his list. And we were all in this group, and I was like, wow, I'm led into this secret society of these cool people. This is fantastic. And then my favorite
you're
thing
like a
is,
Freemason.
yes, although they haven't helped me at all. I've gained really nothing from them. But I always keep it, blocked by Trump. I have it on my Twitter profile. And people, I love when they'll come up to me and they go, oh, you're really blocked by him? I thought it was part of your gimmick. And I was like, what an obscure gimmick. What an odd nuance to add. He's a generic heel, but he's blocked by Trump. That's it.
You know what? I'm not exactly sure if I believe him, but this whole getting blocked by Trump, you know what? Fuck that guy. That's the icing on the cake for me.
Yeah. What a worker this guy is.
But that's funny that you say that, because that's actually something I was going to ask you about. That was like, did that kind of like frighten you at all? Because like that's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, I got very scared. My mother and grandmother got very scared as they whatever. So dual citizen, is this going to be affected? Like, will I see consequences from this?
Did you like watch what you were saying on the phone and like what you were texting for a little while?
Yeah, I definitely slowed down on the tweets. I was like, maybe I'll just like keep it down. And then, the New York Magazine contacts you and you're like, what the hell? Like, this is a thing. And then there was they sued him, and I think the ruling is the people that are blocked will stay blocked, but he can't block any more people.
You know what? That does kind of make sense, but hey, if that's a thing, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
And
now when I want to read his tweets, I got to Google Trump Twitter, and they just have like a small list of like his most recent stuff.
That's something that maybe you should consider for like maybe your other knee pad. Like you've got your knee Arthur, and then you've got your blocked by Trump on the other one. Yeah.
And I will say though, I think it's been quite a blessing for me, because I was, obviously antagonized by his oeuvre early on, and I don't know how I would have put up with it consistently on my feed up until now.
Ooh, good point. Because Trump supporters are a little touchy right now.
Yeah, it took me right out of the thing. Just specifically him.
Did you get much flack from that?
No, not really. I mean, some people come out of the woodwork, especially if you use certain words and they're scrolling and they're like, and it's just like, I can't even, there's a lot of people. I'm getting very good at not responding to everyone. I hate when people make a good point, make a nice argument about something, a good statement, and then someone says something dumb in the replies and they have to reply back to them, and they just start devolving their argument. It's like, just leave it. You did something good. They don't get it. Like, they don't get it. Maybe your first argument wasn't strong enough then. Like, start with your A stuff and then just leave it. So as much as I tweet, I like to practice the art of not tweeting.
I understand that. Like, the funny thing is I actually just encountered like my first real Twitter troll recently, like where somebody created an account to troll me. And then it dawned on me very quickly that why am I replying to this?
Yes.
It's like I felt like I was defending that. I felt like I had to defend myself because I was on Twitter, and I'm like, who am I defending myself to?
Yeah, you can just mute people.
Nah.
It's great. I had this group of, I guess, high school kids, I assume, who started this kind of campaign where they would just write "fuck RJ City" on everything, on everything, every tweet, every Instagram post, everything, which is cool.
Yeah.
And they started. I just think it's very funny.
Were you still the baby face?
Yes. So it hurt me even more at that point. So it really backfired. Oh. That's what a bad baby face I was. So they would write it, and then they added me to this group message where they all said "fuck RJ City," and not an affable way, in a hateful way.
Very
much
X-Pac heat.
Yeah. So I thought perhaps there's an opportunity to be seized here. So, everyone saw it. I took screenshots of everything, and it was fun. And then I came out with this wonderful shirt that simply said in cursive writing, "fuck RJ City." And when I came out with it, they got really mad and wanted a cut of the money.
They wanted a cut?
Yeah. So, because they came up with putting fuck in front of my name. So and it was the best, and it sold incredibly well.
So is that when conversations with them maybe ceased at that point?
Yeah. I think they were like, okay, we're not getting anything out of this. We were
fair.
bested here. And then my friend, a comedian, bought it, and she loves the shirt. She wears it all the time, and then she wore it to a stand-up show that was in support of the LGBTQ community. And they were all like, what? Why would you wear a shirt that says fuck somebody? That's mean. She's like, oh, it's my friend, and he made them, explaining out of the wrestling context, explaining that your friend has a shirt that fucks himself on it. It's just very bad.
To be honest with you, like I remember when that happened, but the biggest reason why I loved when you put that shirt out is because like I respect the ode to Bobby Heenan on that. And I don't know if a lot of people even understand that, but like Bobby Heenan back in the day used to literally print out like weasel stickers and have somebody else go sell them in the crowd. So then that way when he came out, they would have like weasel. And meanwhile, like he was the one that was raking all the money, that carny son of a bitch.
I think it's called working both ends.
It very much is.
Yeah. No matter your opinion of me, I have something to sell you.
Exactly. And here's the funny thing is like I was gonna actually bust out my normal question format for this, but yes. I kind of don't really see the point until maybe getting till the end of it, just because we could do
a lightning round at the end.
Yeah, the lightning round is kind of a must at this point.
Yeah.
But there's just questions.
Because I don't mind. I go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, sorry, you don't mind?
I was just gonna say I really didn't mind spending most of this interview talking about Elvis impersonators. It was just joyful for me.
Well, listen, I always like to try to leave something for a part 2.
Yeah.
So it's always good to kind of leave people wanting more,
Sure. Or less.
Or less. 100%. That's pretty much where I feel like I shine. I feel like
I always say if as a promoter or a booker, and you're both, right?
I try to be.
I always say if you give the fans more than their money's worth, you are wasting your money. You've given them too much.
Well, here's the thing. That's not my opinion, or that's not up to me to decide. Right. I would like to think that I am, but am I? I don't know.
Well, it's an interesting thing. A lot of these shows have so many matches now. Everyone goes more. Mm-hmm. I did a show in Keswick. Do you remember Jetstar? Familiar with the name?
Sounds familiar.
Kid will know who he is. Old worker, worked in Puerto Rico. He's from the area. One of those guys who you don't know about, but had like an amazing career. Mm-hmm. Worked Rock and Roll Express, Kevin Sullivan, like these good territory days where they meant something there, but you wouldn't know about it just because that's how there was no internet, there's no nothing.
Right.
He ran a show in Keswick. It was 3 matches. Intermission, main event was a battle royal. 500 people, not one person complained. And it does make you think, what is possible with a show? What does happen when we do less, or does it become more? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you want stuff to be good.
I will definitely say that is a very, very difficult balance and struggle to maintain, especially for me, because I'm not just a booker and a promoter. I'm also a trainer, and yes. I have students, and there's a lot of people that come to work for me, and there's just a lot of people that I'm friends with as well that yes. I want to try to get everybody on. Like I've very yes. much got a rule where I don't like going over. Like on a main show for me, like the main show is going to be 8 matches with a potential pre-show match. And I think that that's too much, that's just too much. That's typically what we end up doing. We've done a couple of 6 and 7 match shows before, and they've actually gone very, very well. But there's also sometimes where I'm of that weird mindset where there's a couple of guys, yourself included, and literally the only time that I had to say no was because it was essentially a situation that you basically just were talking about, where sometimes there's just too much already. And you're just like, where, like, I was gonna put you on the February show that for Family Day Feud 4.
Yes.
But then because you were oddly available like last minute, and then I'm looking at the card and I'm like, I don't even know where to put you.
Right. Which means there is no point in putting me there. And that's totally fine.
The perfect place for you would have been with Danhausen and Mike. But then the issue there would have been like we built that match up so long where it just kind of became like, it's not that adding you would have subtracted. It just would have taken away from
it would have. You can, yes, too much is more than you need, and it doesn't work. And but also, really adding something like that when you've booked a card with this certain kind of matches upsets the whole rhythm of the show.
Right. But there are some times when I don't mind doing that, because we have done that before with you where I think...
Well, I filled in a couple times.
Yeah. Like there was like the one show where I think it was a few days beforehand, and then all of a sudden it wound up with you working with Danhausen for the very first time.
Yes.
Was that the first time?
Actually, I worked with him before he was Danhausen.
Before the gimmick.
Yeah.
When he was hilarious. Like Finn Balor.
Yeah, which was great, which was fun. But I always think, I heard an interview with Paul Simon, wonderful Paul Simon, and he said he finds like when people listen to an album, their patience seems to last for about 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, gee, if Paul Simon is only going 45, I'm not Paul Simon.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe I should go. Maybe people have less tolerance for me. So I'm always mindful of that. And you've always seen matches that bend your concept of time.
Yeah.
They either feel tremendously long and epic, even though they were only 6 minutes, or they seem to go by and they're 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's all really how invested you are. And there's, many ways to do that. Also, if you can't do your shit in 5 minutes, I don't think I want to see your 20.
That's a very good point.
That's something I learned doing comedy, really.
Right.
That's like, if you can't, give me your best 5.
No, that makes sense, man. That's probably why the WWE, when they have guys do tryout matches beforehand, that's what they do, is they say, go give me 5 and call it in the ring kind of thing. So then that way they can see what you got, I guess.
Yes.
That does make a lot of sense, right?
Yes. And then Dave Linton pats them down and says, don't fuck it up, kid.
See, I got opposite advice, but that's for a different podcast for a different time. One thing I wanted to ask you is obviously like one of the biggest things that you've been kind of known for that's certainly helped you get into the public eye a little bit more is this little, I don't know if it's a bromance. I don't know if it's a love-hate relationship. I don't know if it's I don't really know what it is, but it's one of the most unique, lovely relationships that you're going to find anywhere, which is you and David Arquette.
Yes. Yeah.
So how did David come into your life? And because I feel like that was another situation where you guys very, very much helped one another.
Yes. Certainly in different ways.
Sure.
To no one's surprise, it started on Twitter. He followed me. He tweeted at me about a variety of different things. His family has been in show business for, honestly, over a century now. It goes back that far, beyond what most people even know. I mean, his great-grandparents were in vaudeville. It's just insane, and it's kind of the only life they know. So it's normal to them if everyone acts. It's like having a whole family of plumbers, and they're just like, what else are you gonna do? I'm gonna become a plumber. And so we connected over old show business things. But I decided to have a little fun with him, and he had some back, and it blew up into this whole, pardon the expression, fakakta thing. And then we ended up having Coffee and Underwear, and then he was working on a film, a documentary of him getting back into wrestling and figuring stuff out. And I ended up being a part of that. I had his first match back with him in Hollywood. I gave him a black eye, which is
probably deserved it.
Well, I just put knee Arthur up.
And that's
what happens after that. Beyond my control.
Hey, you got to let people know that you can go. Sometimes a black guy's you gotta throw one or two out every now and then.
Yeah, I certainly protected my finisher, And then he was so taken with my oeuvre, to use that word a second time,
Good word.
that he, made a deal with me if I teamed with him, because he was pretty banged up at this point, as a 47-year-old man would be.
Sure.
Wrestling, especially with a black eye, and still acting. And that we teamed a bunch. We did it in Windsor for Impact. We did it in House of Hardcore in Philly. We're in LA, Chicago, all these different places. And I don't think people realize the extent to which he actually wrestled without making a big deal out of it.
I was actually about to mention, just because the biggest thing that I caught from him during that whole time that you guys were making your run there was he was making not a big deal about anything really that he was doing. And I really only encountered him once, which was at the Impact in Windsor.
Yes.
And I just remember for quite a while, me and him were backstage. We were just talking, and he was just so open to all criticism, advice, everything. And it was almost, I felt myself kind of being like, yo, am I a fucking asshole for trying to like tell this guy what to do right now? Cause like he's David Arquette. And then I'm like, no, he's kind of in my world right now, so I need to help this guy.
Sometimes I get angry with him, but I admire how little strategy he came into this with. He came in, completely open. I thought he had an agenda of saying, well, I'll do a couple matches and see where this goes, and I'll turn it into a thing. And he did this trust fall into the business while still acting and making movies and appearances for other things. Mm-hmm. He was just like, no, I want to do right by this. I think he was very frustrated that he didn't have the chance to with all the Ready to Rumble WCW stuff, because that stuff was really beyond his control.
Right.
And this was his way to really go ground up and say, let's learn. And he was incredibly happy to figure it all out, and incredibly humble, much to my irritation. Being like, come on, what is wrong?
I've been very impressed with him. I'm really looking forward to seeing that documentary that comes out. Obviously, because you're a part of it.
Yes. Well, it's called You Cannot Kill David Arquette, which is obviously a matter of opinion. And it comes out sometime in the fall. Like, I don't know what the release schedule is. I assume it's going to be online or whatever. I think they're figuring it all out. But certainly you will see it.
I would say come back here and plug the show, but I'm very realistic in the fact that you're helping my show out by being on it right now. So you can come back on if you want.
I'll come back when you have some Elvis impersonators on.
Listen, that probably wouldn't be too hard to pull off. I kind of know somebody who may know an Elvis impersonator, but I'm not going to get into that because that might hurt some feelings. So.
I'm fascinated about it. I love that.
Well, I will tell you once we're done the interview, because there is a gentleman that you would be very, very happy to have a conversation with. And you guys already get along very well. So
Wayne Ferris?
How the hell did you know that?
Big fan. We play squash together.
Do you let him win?
Oh, yeah, you got to. He's got those hips, moving hips.
You're such a gentleman. Now, I was going to mention before, just because you'd kind of brought this up about Dave, that, he wasn't making very much a big deal about any of his appearances and all that stuff. Now, I don't really know if I'm being an idiot for saying this and that maybe I'm not supposed to, but like he was also very difficult to nail down for spots. Like he would also,
yes.
Because I very much tried to get you guys to come down together to Crossbody and do a tag match. And it was something that you were always open to. It was just, you're at the mercy of his filming schedule, which was very all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, he's at the mercy of it too. And it's happened with me a bunch doing Splat-A-Lot and movies and CBC shit. That happens to me all the time, where dates will move and you sign to do them and you have to whatever. And you're like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
That's why I'm always, sometimes just very last minute. I'm like, hey, I'm open this weekend. What are you doing? But not in a friendly way, because as we've established, that hasn't been set in stone yet. But no, he would be obviously very hard to nail down. Things would be moved and things would happen and then cancel, and it's on hold and this. And then, he would get injured and
Yep.
Can he act if he's injured? You know, it was really a crazy thing he pulled off, but that's the kind of fella he is. Yet he would be like, let's do this. And he would just say, yep, and then just do something. And when he's able to, I still don't know how he balanced everything, but fully committed to every single thing he did. Much more than I was, certainly.
And you know what? He if his goal was to earn everybody's respect, I think he got it.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody, but what are you going to
do? maybe not everybody, but I mean, the internet wrestling community that maybe that was the respect that he was after. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you all know how I always said he was looking for respect in like the most disrespectful industry.
Yes.
Like, why? Why don't you pick something else? Why don't you try to win a Tony? I think that'll be easier.
I feel like it'd probably be a little bit better for the bank account too.
Yeah, I think so. He did this, you know, completely he just did a huge trust fall, and it was just like, I want to be open to this entire experience, which, as someone riddled with neurosis and anxiety, I envied. And I said, how can you just say yes to something and then figure it out as you go?
And he really did. Like, I remember that tag match you guys did in Windsor where somebody brought it up to him. I think it might have been one of the Rascals. I can't even remember. But they were just like, hey, why don't you jump off the top rope and we'll catch you? And he was just like, okay. And yeah, I remember actually sitting there thinking, I'm like, anybody else I wouldn't be like too surprised. But I'm like, what the fuck is this guy thinking? But like, earned my respect that day.
Yeah, that is simply the kind of genuine human being similar to how I don't have an act when I wrestle. Neither does he.
Well, you have to give yourself a lot of props for that. And I'm sure that you probably know that, but you know, you were a huge part of making him the success that he's become in wrestling. And at the same time, like, I think you certainly helped ease his way in there, because you already have credibility where people know and like you, you know, like, not even know and like you, people love you. Like it's, I said at the beginning of the podcast that you're a national treasure, but like, you really are like this gift to wrestling. And I think that's kind of how everybody sees you. And that's why you're able to be
perhaps the Catherine O'Hara of professional wrestling.
Perhaps, you know, but I think that just provides you that opportunity to basically use your clout and help people be more open to accepting him. And then they saw his hard work. I think that you opened the door for people to be a lot more accepting and to be open to what it was that he was doing. And then once they saw you two working together and vibing together, it was as a fan watching, it was impossible to hate him if you even wanted to, because everything you guys did was gold.
And it was, to me and to us, a real throwback to vaudeville.
Yeah.
Whereas here, these two guys who are diametrically opposed do not get along, yet these circumstances have thrust them together. Which is what happened to us. I mean, there's no other reason I should be friends with him. You know? There's no other reason our paths would have crossed.
But that's what becoming just a beast on Twitter gets you, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah, that's my
It's been very helpful for you. Now, speaking of beast, one thing that I always like to try to talk to my buds about is, and I don't know if this is a question that you've maybe ever been asked in an interview, so I'm going to try to throw you off course a little bit here. What are you doing for training and like working out right now during this whole pandemic?
I'm working out in the basement.
Yeah.
I have a variety of dumbbells and bands and balls.
And balls, gotta have those.
Gotta have them. You don't need to. Sometimes you can tuck them and you're fine. I have a darling friend who writes my programs with, you know, I don't know the real know-how of how to make this work most efficiently.
Right.
So I'm very excited to. So I work out about, I would say 6 days a week. And one of those days, I take the old slam ball outside.
Ooh, good stuff.
And have a nice throw against the wall.
Those are great. I love those things. Now, out of curiosity, how much different is like what you're doing from what you would typically do, say, when we're not in a pandemic?
it's different. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more body weight stuff, and there's a lot, especially when when I say I have dumbbells, I have like 4 sets of dumbbells. I don't have them all the way up to whatever. So you got to figure out how to get the most, which is good. Some weak point training and stuff like that.
Certainly forces you to get creative.
Yes, but I think that's been a benefit to me, and doing stuff that I wouldn't normally do and really focusing on getting the most out of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, sometimes I go, you go to the gym and you have a podcast on, and then next thing you know, you're done and you're like, what did I even do? I could have made more of my time there. And I think now, so probably within the next month, if all goes according to the government's plan, the gyms will open up by me.
Oh, right. Because you guys are still in phase 2, correct?
Yes. I'm really phased out altogether. But I think we're going to, and I think you have to make an appointment online.
Yeah, we where I am in Kitchener, we are in that phase where the gyms started to open, and I got one of those messages where it kind of lists all of the protocols that they'd done in regards to cleaning and sanitizing.
Yes, which is so stupid because it has nothing to do with cleanliness. It has to do with people, the grossness of people. Clean the people.
Now, I think what that boils down to is like it's something that every gym has to do. Like we're actually doing that at our gym right now where like, because we weren't in there during that time, it's just one of those precautionary things where you go in and you do that just so then that way it also brings a sense of cleanliness to the gym. Cause I mean, while I do like a kind of a dingy, grungy gym, like I've always liked those gyms a little bit more than the spaceship gyms. Not that I hate those gyms, but I mean, I like that Rocky style
character building.
Yeah, there's just the first adrenaline training center where I worked at and trained. That's where it was, and that's where just like all of my best times were. All my best workouts were like in this little what used to be a car garage.
Yeah.
So, we got a letter basically explaining like what they were doing in regards to that, what the staff are doing, how they're going to be going about like what the staff are going to be doing during like every 30 minutes and whatnot. And if anything, it was kind of like a nice little thing for us to look at because like, oh, this is what this gym facility is doing. It almost kind of gives us a guideline to kind of go by at our facility as well, which has been nice. But yeah, there's very much everybody wears their mask, but like you can take your mask off, I believe, when you're doing your actual reps or if you're on the treadmill, for example. But there's also a 1-hour time limit.
Which I think is good. And I think there kind of should be because some people need to get the fuck out. Period.
Yeah, it does. It really forces you to get the fuck in, get the fuck out.
Don't talk to me, period. And this is a grievance I had before this.
Right.
Please don't.
That's why from the moment I walk into the gym, like my headphones are in, even if I don't have anything playing, because that should be the universal
don't
fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to talk to me, you best be doing hand signals and making like Wu-Tang bird noises or something. So then that way I can like figure out like I'm busy because I also know that like if I'm going in for weights, I can get from the second that I lift my first weight, 48 minutes until I'm done. Mm-hmm. Everything is timed. Like I've got everything timed down, like where my reps, my rests, everything. So I like the fact that it forces you to get in there, maybe stretch for a minute or two, get your, say 48 minutes in and then out.
I went to the dentist today, like 2 hours ago I was at the dentist and it's so funny because I'm like, ooh, the new normal, things are going to be different. And I got there and the hygienist had a mask on and I realized she always has this mask on.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah. And I have this thing over me and I have these glasses on and there's always hand sanitizer there. This is a generally clean place.
And they're always very generous by rinsing your mouth out.
So I really didn't notice anything different.
That's such a good point. So with all that being said, in regards to like your training, like what's your diet like? Like obviously we know that you're a Cobb salad man.
Cobb salad guy. That's really kind of just a negotiation tool because it's such an expensive salad. I want to see people come to the table and say we're ready to play.
Well, any salad that's got bacon in it is a real
Yeah.
Yeah, that's letting somebody you know that you want them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's a meal.
it is.
What's my diet like? I'm cutting my calories a little more. I like to get a little bit leaner. We're on the edge, and I just want to maybe. I go by the scale only as a guide. I really don't give a shit what I weigh.
For sure.
I would rather look. Again, my muscles do not need to be functional. They just have to look like they're functional.
Yep.
This is not. I don't live my life functionally. I don't chop wood. So we're doing that, but I like to have the macros, and I can plug her. Dania does my stuff.
I was actually about to ask if Rico did.
No, Rico has always been helpful with a bunch of general health stuff. He's a sage in that kind of way.
So here's the crazy thing: when I was doing my cut to 205, my strength and conditioning coach passed away. Like literally, it was like a 9-week process, and he passed away at like the 4-week mark.
Yeah.
And Rico found out about that, and like I don't know if that was like him just being a good brother, but like he was literally DMing me every fucking day, just making sure that I was staying on course, and if I had any questions that like I could ask him. Like he was giving me great diet advice. Like he was awesome.
He's great. He's fantastic, and
But that's great that you're getting your stuff from Dania.
Yeah, super straightforward, simple stuff, and it's working. I think. Well, I don't know. We'll see if it's working. Yeah, no, it has worked for me before. You're bulking, you're lean, and we're leaning now.
Yeah.
And then, but I never really get too bulky.
Right.
I look weak. I just, some people don't look muscular; they just look fat.
Yeah, you would look very odd as like with say Josh's build, for example.
Yeah. And I got up to like, I think my heaviest was maybe like a 215 or a 220, and that's just does not work for me.
Now, do you ever get pissed if somebody says that you don't have the body to make it to like WWE or like whatever the fuck?
No, because I'm doing a million different things. No, I'm fine. I'm good. It's fine.
That's actually a question I was going to ask, but like I was kind of debating on it, but I'm going to anyway. What's your end goal?
People always ask this. They seem very confused. They really want to know what this puzzle is going to end up being.
See, now I think I know what your strategy is.
Yeah.
And if it is what I think it is, it's kind of the motto that I've been going on for about the last like year and a half of my life. And it's literally been the most successful mindset I've ever taken.
Yeah.
Which is, again, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to focus on what's in front of me, and I'm going to fucking murder what's in front of me.
Yeah.
So then that way what's next, like it's going to eventually dictate what comes after that.
Yes. My life professionally has taken an incredible amount of odd left turns in a good way. Mm-hmm. I don't think they ended up being deterrents. They were certainly unplanned.
For sure.
Unforeseen things that I wouldn't, even conceive. But I've enjoyed them, and I just continue wanting to be open to those things.
Yeah.
So I do deal with, and I want to make the best of just opportunities I have as they come. But I realized I was at a certain point harming myself by having such a narrow plan of what I wanted to do.
100%.
And then it leaves me open. I'm like, well, I just think what else is out there? And I think I'm slowly answering that question.
Yeah. And that's the beauty part is like, we don't really even like, I don't even think you fully know what's completely out there for you just because like, we're just a little speck in this gigantic universe. And like, there's just still so much out there to not just explore. I know that's kind of like a hippie take on it, so to speak, but like, I feel anyway that like you just literally find yourself in these brand new nooks and crannies in like the most weirdest random times. Like, I mean, for example, how the fuck did you end up in Ronda Rousey's Facebook wrestling tournament or whatever the fuck that was? Like that was so random for me.
Yes, it was random for me too. It was a thing that was happening. And next thing I know, I'm cutting promos pretty much just on her. And her design team created me and my moveset in Fire Pro Wrestling, and they simulated all the matches, and she just commentates over them.
She's like, I've only actually spent like a little bit of time with her, but like I was actually fortunate enough to like hang out with her for probably about a good like 45 minutes to an hour or something like that. But like we had like one of those like really cool, just like legit get to know one another conversations. It wasn't like, oh, tell me about your UFC career, or like tell me about like WWE and your stuff. It was like a genuine, like she was telling me about like her life and like her husband and how they met and like all these amazing things. And like she was asking about my significant other at the time and like genuinely like curious about all of those things. And like that was the one, like I really took away from that she was like completely misunderstood and like a really, really good person. So when I saw that you guys were doing that, I was actually pretty stoked to see what the hell you two are going to do with one another.
Yeah. Well, I haven't spoken to her one-on-one at all.
Really?
She only really, I think, knows me from my tweets and my promos. So, however, I did win their belt, the Rowdy League Championship, which is an apropos name. So I guess I will be back. I don't know how this works.
Is she going to send you a belt?
So far, I don't have a belt or a salad, even though she's posting all these pictures of, oh, look at these chickens. Look at the eggs they're laying. I'm like, a nice hard-boiled one would go great in a Cobb.
And I feel like, and perhaps correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like she could probably afford that skip the dishes bill where she could just send this to your house. Like it is very easy to hook you up with a Cobb salad right now.
Yeah.
Technology is a beautiful thing.
They say she's just always such a great fighter and so focused and hardworking, but what they don't tell you that she's stingy and inconsiderate. And those are the two things I would like to
about her.
Add to her resume. Look, I'm sure she's a nice person to you, but when you need something from her, if you were hankering for a Cobb, she would have been a zero service to you.
She's real stingy on the Cobb. That's not.
Yeah.
They say don't meet your heroes, man.
Nope. Especially when you're hungry.
Especially when you're hungry. Yeah. That's right. So where am I? Okay. We're about to get into the rapid fire portion of
this lightning round.
The lightning round.
Yes.
So I'm going to try to hit these 10 questions. They're going to probably be extremely generic for you because I'm sure that every podcast that you've ever done probably asked you all of these, but I'll do my best and we'll see what we can do here.
Put 60 seconds on the clock.
60 seconds on the clock. Favorite match that you've been a part of?
Wrestling Rico in a show that Hulk Hogan was on in Brantford.
So, Justin Sane was just telling me about that show, actually.
That was just a fun show, and we had a blast, and everything just felt right. Other than that, I would say the bevy of things with David have just been so bizarre.
Fair. Who is on TV, or who's not on TV right now who should be on TV?
Psycho Mike Rollins.
100%. Who's your favorite band?
Oh, my favorite band. Is it going to be a singer?
Could be anybody.
Fine. Will you allow me? I would have to say, well, musical performer, I think live performance. Now I'm digressing. Live performance, I would say perhaps a Bobby Darin. Ooh. His live performances are wonderful. Album discography-wise, I would say Paul Simon.
Paul Simon, okay.
Yeah.
This is going to be a funny question. What's your favorite sports team?
I used to be a big fan of the Colorado Avalanche when I was a kid. The first year they went to the Stanley Cup, my father took me to a practice between them and the Maple Leafs at Maple Leaf Gardens.
Really?
I got to hang out at the exit and get autographs as the players went on the bus. And the one fucking prick that didn't sign an autograph was Peter Forsberg. So if I ever run into him,
Sakic, that would have broke my heart.
No, I don't think he was there. But it was Peter Forsberg, and it's a grudge that I hold to this day.
You know what? I can completely understand that. Fuck Peter Forsberg. Let's tweet him and tell him that, okay?
Thank you.
Who is your favorite opponent been thus far? Besides me.
I really enjoyed doing stuff with Dalton Castle.
Yeah, you guys work very, very well together.
That was a lot of fun.
So this question I'm very interested in. What's the biggest goal that you have set for yourself that you've accomplished?
That I've accomplished? Ooh. You know what? I think being on Nickelodeon is a pretty big deal to me.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Personally, I mean, I love all the Nickelodeon shows, and when we were in between all these classic old shows, and I was like, well, this is some good shit.
Yeah. Now, what's the next goal that's on the list that you feel that you need to accomplish and that you're going to accomplish?
We've been pitching and developing a slew of things. And I think one of them is going to hit sooner rather than later in a decent, emotionally satisfying way.
I'm looking forward to that. Now, you don't have to name 5, just maybe name like a couple, but who are the first like up and coming, like brand new, like maybe first year or 2, maybe 3 wrestlers that people should maybe watch out for?
Luigi Primo.
Oh, I've heard of him. Yeah.
Keep
talking. I just got to plug my power cord in. I realize that I don't have it.
Okay, I'm talking to myself here. I enjoy Ziggy Haim from Pittsburgh. Who else? Up and coming. I like myself a good old-fashioned Jimbo Jones.
Is that now? Are you just saying that to make me feel better?
No, I've spoken to him for an extended period of time before this.
I got to tell you, I appreciate you saying that because I really think that everybody needs to know Jimbo and watch Jimbo because he's special, man. Like he's got that thing that you cannot fucking teach to somebody.
Yeah, he's very enjoyable. Puff.
Love Puff.
I don't know if he's up. I guess I would say he's up and coming.
He is. He's actually somebody, and I'm just like, I don't care that I'm throwing this out there and I'm probably breaking business, but like he's a guy I want to start using immediately once we're able to start going again because I've become a big fan of that person.
And who else? I guess that's it. 4 is good enough. Oh, shit. Pretty Ricky. Yeah. I fucking, okay. Whatever. Sometimes it's just people I've worked. I don't consider them like up and coming.
Yeah, I know. It's sometimes you don't even think of him as an up and comer, but then you forget like he's just getting his footing.
One of those people I didn't. How do I say this? It's difficult. I'm not saying he's difficult to work with. It was hard for us to work together because in many ways we're very similar.
Right.
And it was fun. It was fun, but it's figuring out like, oh, you do this, so I should do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we worked on, both sides. We worked twice.
Yeah.
And me being a heel is always just nicer for me.
Well, it's what you are. You're a heel.
Yes.
So, I mean, why differ from what you're naturally just good at, right?
Yes.
What is your proudest moment outside of the ring?
The birth of my daughter. Don't have a daughter.
I actually was like, there's no fucking way that's a thing. You got me.
I love when wrestlers go on rants like, oh, that was the best match of my life and the most greatest thing I've ever done. Outside my family. What was my proudest thing? I don't really.
I feel like I'm actually hitting you with some thinkers that you might not normally get.
Yeah. Pride is just a weird thing for me where I'm like, I don't really know. It's a wonderful. I enjoyed, meeting Mario Cantone.
Hey, you know what? If that
was a joy. No, I'll tell you something. It's not an achievement, but for my birthday, David Arquette was sweet enough to hook me up with a phone call from Dick Cavett, and that was just like, just mind blowing. Which is
amazing because, I mean, for him, that's probably nothing, but for you, it's the world. And those are always the things that genuinely mean the most.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but also like, I don't know. I think Dick Cavett is a pretty big deal and has ties to Jerry Lewis and Jack Parr and Laurel and Hardy. And it's like, that's shit that's not going to be around, forever. So to be able to be remotely connected to that is beyond belief for me. No, you know what I was proud of? I really, really, really did enjoy opening for Mick Foley twice when he did a stand-up show.
That
was like, you know what? That was the puzzle of the pieces coming together in my life.
Well, because also I don't know how many people really know that like you do stand up like comedy on the side. Like this wrestling is just one of. Go back to my intro. Like, none of that was bullshit. That was all real, So that's awesome. Yeah. And you did that in Buffalo. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, we did 2 shows in Buffalo, which was fantastic. And then me and Dalton did a show together in Toronto, which was like stand up and sketch and improv and good stuff.
That's I remember you guys doing that. I remember wanting to go to that, but I wasn't able to. But how was that? Did that go
It
well?
was great. We messed up and ended up booking it on a Thanksgiving Monday, and we're like, oh, we're doomed. But then
Yeah.
everyone was there, and it was nice. And it was like, until it's over, I hate it.
You know what's crazy is I remember when I did my first show on a holiday, which was Family Day. We did the Family Day feud, and I remember everybody telling me, they're like, "You're going to lose your ass this weekend because it's a long weekend. It's Family Day. Everybody goes away and does stuff." Yeah. And it was the biggest, like, most packed show that I ever did. And oddly enough, like, other than like our anniversary shows, those Family Day feud shows, and they're kind of like our big show of the year now, just because, as weird as it is, like, it's almost like not everybody goes away. People forget that not everybody owns a cottage.
Yes. And people would just like to have a little bit of fun. I don't have to have 3 days of fun.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Now, this last question is one I've actually been very much looking forward to asking for this entire thing.
Yeah.
What is the best piece of advice that you can give to somebody who wants to do what you do?
Sometimes I can see your ring light in your eyes. So I have these glasses here that don't have any lenses.
See, that's very good. I unfortunately, I kind of need my lenses.
Yes.
Now, for anybody aware, this is my first show with my new ring light, so I'm testing it out.
Learning, and we're so proud of you at the Guild.
Thank you, because a lot of people probably also don't know that RJ is pretty much like my podcast dad. I ask him for all of my advice. He tells me what to do. Because of him, I have this beautiful ring light now.
Your technical advisor.
He is my technical advisor, yes. And if it wasn't for him, this show would be something completely different, because you actually convinced me that the free-flowing conversation was much better than a standard formatted question type discussion.
Well, if we had standard questions, we probably never would have got to
Elvis,
which I think is the crux of this interview, this segment.
It's the anchor. It's what's going to be our views.
My advice to anyone, especially in the business, would be, number one, as I heard years ago, it's all a work. And nobody knows what they're doing anyway, so just do what you want and figure it out as you go. That seems to be it.
Yeah, that's
even when you do know, you can know for a certain period of time, and then all of a sudden you don't know. So really, in many ways, if you're not sure that you know, then you just don't know. The answer is no one knows what they're doing, and that's the best thing in the world.
That's great advice. Now, to finish the show, because we're finally going to start to get the point where we're wrapping this up.
Yes.
This is the standard last question that it's weird. I ask, but it's really more for me.
Yes.
Because again, the whole process of getting to do this podcast is to kind of get to know my friends a little bit better. And I've been doing all of the question asking so far. So
yes.
I always like to kind of leave it up to my guests to ask if there's anything that that you want to know about me.
That's an interesting question. If you had to get rid of one piece of memorabilia behind you,
mm-hmm.
what would it be? Is there anything that I see on screen right now that you're not crazy about?
Ooh, good question. Well, the Liger figure stays.
Okay. I'm just saying one thing has to go in the garbage.
I can't disrespect Jim Ross because I haven't even read the book yet. And that was actually a gift from one of my students. So, okay. Wayne Gretzky. No, I can't. Tiger Woods. Sorry, Tiger's got to go.
Tiger Woods, that's it, yeah.
Yeah,
all
Tiger's got to go.
Good.
You know what? I wish I could edit that because I disrespected Wayne there for a half of a second, and I apologize, Wayne.
That was a rough.
It was. I felt like I disrespected one of our other Canadian national treasures just now, you know?
I was asking you to really abandon one of your children.
It was rough because my Funkos has become like one of my little passionate things that I actually enjoy outside of.
You've made a concerted decision to keep them in the box?
I have. And the reason why I've done that is because I'm almost there's with my Funkos, and I actually, as weird as this sounds, when Proper 12 whiskey, Conor McGregor's whiskey, first came out, I had bought 2 bottles, and I went to the States and I got them. And I remember telling myself that the one bottle, because this whiskey was so new, that whiskey always gets better with age, right? So I said to myself that I'm going to keep this bottle and I'm going to not open it until I finally get myself a house. So that's kind of what I'm doing with the Funkos as well, is like once I'm able to finally get myself situated and get myself into even like my first starter house, right? Because I've kind of already got this all mapped out anyway. At one point in time, I will build a nice little office for myself, probably like a little studio and whatnot. And then, you know, I'll probably put all of them in there. So then that way I can try to at least keep girls interested in me if they ever decide to want to come over.
And in the meantime, they're just taunting you in the boxes.
They are, you know, but I also, now here's how crazy I've kind of gotten with some of them. Like I've actually got one here, this little brown box is actually got a Funko in the box. And it's because it was like, so just a quick little stupid story. When Bray Wyatt debuted the Fiend gimmick, I was so enamored by the art of it and just the look and the presentation of it. And I was, because in a weird way, and nobody's going to believe me when I say this, but like that was what I wanted to do. But obviously they've got a much, much larger production for that kind of stuff.
Right.
That was kind of what I wanted to do with Holden Albright.
Yes.
So when I saw that idea, like, and not that they stole my idea because that's stupid, but like when I saw like that, so like that vision brought to life on like a multi-million-dollar scale, I was just like, this is mind-blowing. And like I love the ins and the outs of what they were doing. And I just remember saying to myself when I saw that, like the Fiend, like with the mask and the hair and everything, I'm like, that's going to be the coolest Funko Pop looking toy that ever comes out. And that was like, I remember the first thing I said about it. And then eventually, thankfully, because they're very hard to find, Brady got me one. So like he got it shipped. And until I can get myself one of those like Funko protectors, I've actually got it in the box. So then that way the box doesn't bend.
Yeah.
That was what I've been looking forward to for a while.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Like, again, I'm not like I wouldn't say I'm like a gigantic Funko nerd or anything, but like.
Yeah, but a little bit.
Well, I collect what I like. I don't collect to collect.
Yes.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, but yet you are collecting.
I collect what I like.
Good. But you're like still collecting.
Like for example, like every Funko that I've got, I've pretty much got for a reason, right? Like
yes.
I'm not going to go over my entire collection, but like I'm actually genuinely either fans of them, have been friends with them. I've either wrestled them, whatever. But like mostly I'm just fans of a lot of these people. So it gives me something to do. I'm a single dude. I'm just.
I know. Yeah, you got to fill a hole in your heart. I understand.
It's true. And you know what? I've got other friends that are very much into this stuff, like Jeff Kavanaugh, for example.
Yes.
He's very much into this stuff. And in a weird way, it kind of gives you other things to talk about and do stuff with. Like, he actually invited me to a collector's show the one time.
Oh.
And that's kind of what got me into, like, collecting. Like, because I would just walk around the tables and, like, it was like it's like a garage sale because sometimes these people don't know what they have.
Yes.
Like, Aiden Prince.
And then you gotta act cool about it.
Yeah, like Aiden Prince is one of my best buddies, and like he's been on this Hogan kick forever. And like I remember walking around the one time, and I found a Hulk Hogan lunch pail.
Yeah,
and the guy wanted $5 for it.
You're like,
I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take that. And then as I'm
wait, you gotta go like this. They're like $5. You know it's a steal. You still gotta go like this.
Well, that's what I said. I'm like, I actually did. I did that. I'm like, you know what? I'll take it for $5. And then I as I'm walking away, I'm like, do you have anything else, Hogan, by the way? And then he pulls out like this, like original, like from the Titan Sports, like the Hulkamania bandanas. It's like, well, how much do you want for that? And he tells me a price, and I was just like, it's not that big of a deal to me. I'm like, if you want a bit, I'll give you this much. And he gave it to me.
Is that okay? Is this what this do? I mean, I don't know what I can do with it.
So I think I paid like $15 for everything and got to make my buddy's day for a little bit, you know?
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So like those shows are kind of fun to go and fuck around at, but I definitely don't see you being that kind of guy.
I can peruse. Sometimes there's a lot of wrestling shows that have them, you know?
Well, I do notice that you've at least started to embrace your collecting anyway on the Wrestling Figure podcast with your buddy Matt Cardona there.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of a low-key collector. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that I just had from my childhood and held on to, but I think I do cherish them and have certain opinions about them. And I do get upset about the ones that I was not naturally able to get as a child.
Right.
You know, I feel like getting them now, I feel like I really have, I'm living my life with a game genie.
But see, here's the other thing too, is like your buddy Matt there. I feel like you're in a position where you could probably get him to kind of find you a lot of stuff if you're ever looking for certain stuff, because he's probably got everything.
Yes, he sent me a nice flash book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and a Steve Austin, which I did have when I was a kid, in the box. I guess he's just got a million of them.
Well,
That's
I feel
the
like
equivalent of like mints, Lifesaver mints, in a bowl in the front of his house.
Well, see, I definitely feel like he owes you some figures for that sweet song that you wrote for him.
Yeah, I'm the new Jim Johnston.
You really are, because I mean, that was very cute and that was very nice, and it was a really a beautiful attempt from that band Downstate to it's like, oh, we'll try with these lyrics and whatever, but then
mine came from here,
and that's where they should come from.
Yeah,
that's where that matters the most.
And also here because I use my diaphragm when I sing.
Also important to get that beautiful sound out of your voice.
Yeah.
You're a goddamn gem, sir. We're going to start wrapping this up, RJ. So just to let everybody know, you can find this show on Twitter and Instagram at Big Ben AF Podcast, as well as on Facebook under Big Ben and Friends Podcast. You can find us on YouTube as well by searching the show name, because we don't have enough subscribers yet. We're about 26 short, I believe, at this moment. But hopefully you'll all come and watch RJ, and hopefully you could do me the favor of just hitting that little subscribe button and maybe even a like button and maybe leave a comment, because that
even if you just mute them afterwards, it's fine. It'll make you feel good.
It would. Mute me all you want, but just hit that button, You can also find the audio version of the show on Anchor, which I don't think anybody uses, but they're very nice, and they distribute my show to Spotify and every other place that you can find your podcasts on those types of platforms. You could find me personally on all of my social medias at Big Ben is Angry, even though I'm really not that angry anymore, but, hard to change the brand sometimes. You can find Crossbody Pro Wrestling and the Crossbody Pro Wrestling Academy on our social, all in one place at CBPW Academy. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/Crossbody Pro Wrestling Academy, where you can go and find the first 2.5 years of our shows. You can find RJ City versus Cody Diener versus John Bolin from our anniversary show with Scott Demore, and that was a lot of fun. You can find Crossbody Pro Wrestling on independentwrestling.tv using the code Crossbody to get 5 free days, and go watch RJ's first match with the real Danhausen that we know and love these days. Maybe not RJ. I'm pretty sure he hates him. But last but not least, you can go and support Crossbody Pro Wrestling and our amazing wrestlers and staff by heading to prowrestlingtees.com/Crossbody Pro Wrestling, where all of the proceeds of the shirt sales get split between the wrestler and our incredibly hardworking production staff. And we also still have the Black Lives Matter shirts up as well. Last month, we were able to donate $260 to blacklivesmatter.ca. We're going to keep those shirts up, as well as the Madman Fulton shirt, as well as Just Insane shirt, and 100% of those proceeds are going to continue to go to that website and that cause on a monthly basis for whatever sales that we get. You can find RJ City on all of his socials at RJ City, and let's be real, you already fucking know that. You can find him on Facebook on RJ City, not...
Just type my name into Google and a bunch of shit will come up.
That's pretty much how that works.
Other than that, if you need to contact me at all, it's just at paulroma.com.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you have any parting words, buddy?
Absolutely not. This is This is more than enough. This has been free, and they've gotten more than their money's worth. So we're both at a deficit now.
We really
I'm not going to talk for the rest of the evening.
Dude, RJ, I cannot thank you enough for doing the show. I can't thank you enough for all the help that you give me. I appreciate your friendship, because I do consider this a friendship, just so that way you know.
Here now, yeah.
And you know what? I genuinely do. If you ever are free and you just want to get together for a dinner or a coffee or a round of golf, please let me know, because I enjoy all of those things.
Good-natured ribbing or something.
Good-natured ribbing.
Yeah.
Well, again, everybody, that's going to wrap up episode 10. We've made it to 10. I actually stuck with this shit, everybody. I guess I'm going to see you all in episode 11. So thanks very much, RJ.
God bless you.